compensate Nigerians with total victory over enemies of state. President Tinubu tasks armed forces.
Our aim is to transform economic prosperity from a distant dream into a tangible reality.
Ensure your economic decisions and reforms reflect in the lives of Nigerians. Vice President Shettima to newly inaugurated National Council on Privatization.
Aisha and I worked very closely together. I pray Almighty Allah to rest her soul.
Tributes pour as Nigerian Television Authority loses one of its finest. Glad to have you join us on the network news on NTA. I'm Naja Atutijani. Michael Olaleye is standing by in Lagos. Remember that this broadcast, the network news on NTA, is always live on our website, nta.ng/live. Do follow us across all social media platforms as well. The federal government has expressed readiness to collaborate with state authorities to provide developmental projects and basic services to the citizenry. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu stated this while on a courtesy visit to the Shehu of Borno, Abubakar Ibn Umar Garbay El Kanemi, and inauguration of 107 gas and electric-powered vehicles procured by the Borno state government to ease transportation. Mohammed Ghani reports.
The vehicles comprises 35 units of 30-seater buses, 12 units 15-seater Hammer buses, and 10 units 50-seater buses, all of them gas-powered, as well as 50 units of 4-seater electric vehicles. Borno State Government is the first in the country to launch gas and electric vehicles with charging terminals installed at designated locations within the state, and when fully charged, the vehicles can travel 350 miles before recharging. President Bola Tinubu, who applauded Governor Zulum for being innovative and creative in everything he does, also noted his concern for good governance and welfare of the citizenry.
My purpose is to condole the entire country through the army on the loss of life in Kaduna. It's tragic.
Governor Zulum said the state government had earlier on procured about 150 environment-friendly vehicles in addition to the 107 inaugurated by President Bola Tinubu, mainly to reduce climate vulnerability.
Its visit to Borno State within 6 months of its administration is an indication that he has the commitment, zeal and courage to bring lasting peace and stability to Borno.
Shehu Borno Abubakar Ibn Umar Garba El Kanemi, during courtesy call, lauded improvement in the security situation of the state and expressed optimism that under the renewed hope policy of the present administration, such challenges will be history, assuring the president of continued support.
The Nigerian army has been playing a critical role in restoring relative peace to Borno State and the Northeast in the last couple of years.
President Bola Tinubu, who appreciated the Shehu for being father and a leader to his people and other Nigerians, assured to look into issues raised by the royal father, such as road construction and provision of electricity. Governors of Adamawa and Taraba State, as well as deputy governors of Yobe and Gombe, were among dignitaries who received President Bola Tinubu during his one-day engagement in Borno State. In Maiduguri, Mohammed Ghani, NTA News.
The Tudumbiri drone misfire continues to receive sympathy and a show of concern by Nigerians, but President Bola Tinubu believes the best gift is for the armed forces to compensate Nigeria and Nigerians with total victory over enemies of state. President Tinubu gave this stance over the Kaduna incident during the opening ceremony of the Chief of Army Staff annual conference held in Maiduguri, Borno State. Expect that report in the course of the bulletin. Meanwhile, the military and other sister security agencies are on top gear to introduce new strategies and strengthen existing combat measures to nip remnants of insurgents in the bud. This was during a high-level leadership training on counter-terrorism and counterinsurgency at the Nigerian Army Resource Center, Abuja, where the experts hinged on review and systemic approach to the global security threat.
We are not communicating with the average man on the street, and so we need to get people to key into whatever is being done by all the services and agencies. That way, they have people's support, which is very, very essential when you are talking about counterinsurgency and counterterrorism.
Terrorism is the most direct asymmetric threat to the security of the citizens of this country and to the stability and prosperity of the continent. It is a persistent global issue that knows no border, nationality or religion. It is thus a challenge we must tackle collectively.
The training, which opened this Monday, is also to ensure intelligence is properly conducted through partnership with the community to bring the impact of the challenge to the minimum level and to secure the environment against destructive elements. Members of the National Council on Privatization have been charged to ensure their economic decisions and reforms are reflected in the lives of Nigerians. Vice President Kashim Shettima, while declaring open the induction program for the new council, urged them to be proactive in paving the way for economic growth, which is in harmony with the aspirations of Nigerians. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports.
Assembled here are members and other critical stakeholders of the newly inaugurated National Council on Privatization at the Conference Center of the National Intelligence Agency. And the reminder is for them to station themselves on the front line of actualizing the renewed hope agenda of the Tinubu administration.
The National Council on Privatization, along with the Bureau of Public Enterprises, bear the critical responsibility of driving commercial interventions that align seamlessly with these priority areas. However, it is essential for each of us to pledge to create a future where every citizen thrives. Our aim is to transform economic prosperity from a distant dream into a tangible reality.
Vice President Kashim Shettima, who is also the chairman of the council, reminded members of the council that the task before them demands going to every horizon of the hotbed of opportunities to initiate transformative reforms and to collaborate, even as he implored them to embed the reforms they were set to make in President Tinubu's 8-point renewed hope agenda.
By the end of this retreat, my hope is that we will become more resolute about the necessity of letting our discussions resound with echoes of innovative strategies, collaborative initiatives, and uncompromising commitments to the principles enshrined in Mr. President's visionary agenda.
It was a package. It wasn't something that you could...
Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, underscored the significance of the federal government's privatization program and highlighted its impact on the management of enterprises owned by the government since the inception of the program.
I hope we have a very fruitful induction session.
Deputy Chief of Staff to the President, Ibrahim Hassan Hadija, urged them to give in their best in the new task, noting that the success of the council will largely be dependent on synergy among stakeholders, both in private and public sectors. In Abuja, Abdurrahman Jibrila, NTA News.
About 700 new road projects have been proposed in the 2024 budget towards improving Nigeria's road network for enhanced growth and socio-economic activities across the country. The Ministry of Works is also soliciting the provision of an emergency fund worth 9 trillion naira in the budget to cater for emergencies on Nigerian roads, especially during the rainy season. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
The budget defense of the Ministry of Works kick-started with an overview of the performance of the 2023 appropriation. The minister said about 200 billion naira, representing 48% of the total capital allocation, has been released and deployed for payments of some key projects. The minister highlighted the thrust of the 2024 proposed appropriation.
About 102.9 billion is for new projects. If we have good roads, it will address security, agriculture, trade and investment, and of course commerce, education, health, everything.
And it's our hope that there will be even distributions of projects accordingly.
At the joint budget defense sitting of the Senate and House Committees on Agriculture, the supervising ministers emphasized the potentials of the sector in diversifying the economy, eradicating poverty and job creation, all of which they said require investments.
There is food insecurity in the nation now, and that is why Mr. President has declared an emergency on food security and has also prioritized food security as the top agenda of his 8-point agenda.
We intend to also interrogate the budget proposal brought forward by the agencies so that areas where the need for what they are asking for does not really arise, so that we can prioritize what is needed in that ministry.
The Minister of Finance wants the lawmakers to use the reforms so far introduced by this administration as a yardstick, stressing that government has put mechanisms in place for prudent management.
Overall policy of Mr. President and indeed the whole of the public service has as one of its major priorities the digitalization and application of technology in order to have greater efficiency.
We will at the end of the day give Nigeria the expected budget that will propel not just the economic well-being of our people, but also the infrastructural development of this country.
The Fiscal Responsibility Commission informed the committee that its revenue proposal for 2024 is 200 million naira. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA.
Meanwhile, Nigeria is losing about $500 billion naira in revenue to imported vehicles and general cargo yet to be cleared around the fringes of the nation's ports, says Comptroller General of Customs Adewale Adeni, who made the revelation before the House Committee on Appropriation, which also engaged the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edu, on ways of growing the nation's revenue base. National Assembly correspondent Mitaire Ikben reports.
Minister of Finance clarifies before lawmakers that there is no plan by the federal government to increase taxes. He says the plan to grow revenue is to increase tax returns from government-owned enterprises.
The intention will be, where possible, to even reduce taxes to allow people to have more money to invest in job creation and production. So I think it's very important to make that clear. It's critical that government expenditure is seen to be efficient, that waste is cut to a minimum.
The customs boss shares the optimism of lawmakers that a revenue target of 6 trillion naira can be achieved in 2024 from an initial projection of 5 trillion naira.
Is there any possibilities to increase your target in 2024, since you can be able to achieve up to 90% in 2023?
The goods in the ports that are not clear represent some kind of revenue that are sitting inside the ports for us. And I believe that if we review the environment, we'll be in a better position in 2024.
I would like to propose the formation of a tripartite committee comprising representatives from Central Bank of Nigeria, Federal Ministry of Finance, Nigeria Customs Service.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives Committee on Housing and Habitat says it is ready to develop a radical housing agenda and legislation along with key players in the sector towards ensuring Nigerians have access to affordable housing. From the National Assembly, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
President Bola Tinubu, with immense grief, has received the passing of NTA's broadcaster Aisha Bello Mustafa, who was one of the great icons of the Nigerian broadcast media. Extending his deepest condolences to her family, friends and colleagues, including the management and staff of the Nigerian Television Authority, as well as the broadcasting organizations of Nigeria. The President joins in paying solemn respect to the highly professional professional news anchor and presenter who spent 35 years in NTA until her retirement in 2022, saying, quote, "During her time as the presenter of the flagship NTA network news at 9, Nigerians and viewers around the world looked forward to seeing her smile, her warmth and wisdom as she delivered news which could be trusted objectively. She mentored many young women who took to broadcasting mainly by watching and listening to her eloquence, passion and integrity on the screen, in the newsroom and off-screen. Her legacy in broadcast journalism lives on in the rich news archives she leaves behind and the contribution she made to the development of broadcasting in Nigeria. She brought news to life and will continue to be a beacon to inspire generations in the beautiful art of broadcasting." End of quote. President Tinubu also praised God to grant the soul of the departed eternal rest and comfort for those who mourn. The atmosphere was solemn at the National Mosque and later Gudu Cemetery, venues of the funeral prayers and burial of television icon Aisha Bello Mustafa. Ibrahim Danhamidu reports.
Aisha Bello Mustafa's journey began decades ago with a passion for storytelling that would shape her destiny. As a pioneer among female broadcasters, she broke through barriers and shattered glass ceilings, paving the way for countless aspiring journalists who followed in her footsteps. From her early days in the industry to her prominent role as a celebrated news anchor, Aisha's distinctive presence and unwavering commitment to excellence set her apart. Family, friends and colleagues gathered at the National Mosque in Abuja to conduct the funeral prayer known as Salat al-Janaza for Aisha Bello Mustafa. Islamic scholar and leader who led the prayer also guided the mourners shortly after to Gudu Cemetery in paying tribute to late Aisha Bello Mustafa's soul, seeking Allah's blessings and forgiveness.
I remember that in those days in the newsroom, Aisha would not go on air until she has details of names and places.
She was somebody who was dedicated, committed, amiable, easy to get along with.
She was and still remains a committed, diligent staff of the NTA who put everything into being a professional that she was.
Aisha was one of the best staff we had in NTA. I knew her in the mid-90s. We worked for almost 30 years.
She was very generous to so many people. And in fact, Aisha is an embodiment of an elegant woman who knows her onions very well when it comes to work.
Late Aisha Bello Mustafa will forever be remembered as a remarkable journalist, and the mark she left on the Nigerian Television Authority, as well as the people who came across her in life, she will forever be one in a million. In Abuja, Ibrahim Nahamidu, NTA News.
In the world of broadcasting, there are people who captivate the audience with their presence, enlighten them with their stories, and leave an indelible mark on their hearts. Aisha Bello Mustafa, a veteran broadcaster and respected journalist, was one of them. Momso Damian Deti tells us more.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome to News Update. I am Aisha Bello.
The sun sets for NTA's golden voice and TV icon on Sunday, 10th December 2023. From the humble beginning as a CAP reporter in NTA Yola, Aisha rose through the ranks, ending her career as General Manager NTA Parliament on retirement in May 2022 after 35 years of service.
Hello and welcome. This is Environment Matters.
She was elegant, both on and off air. She was a professional, a mentor, and a stickler to the rules of newscasting with her unique style of presentation, handed down to the new generation of NTA newscasters.
The cost benefits favor Africa. He spoke with them.
Aisha was versatile, a testimony shared by her bosses and professional colleagues.
The late Aisha Bello was a distinct colleague,
Professionally, she was top-notch. She was one of those presenters that will go to the extent that was required of her as a professional. I'm talking about getting the right pronunciations, ensuring that information is accurate, because sometimes she will come back to you as a reporter and ask you, oh, I saw something on your script.
As the light dims on Aisha Bello Mustafa, family members, associates and the NTA family, serving and retired, paid their last respects at the funeral held at the Gudu Cemetery, Abuja.
She was as good a news anchor as she was a script writer, and she was a woman of a very high professional and moral standing.
Aisha is somebody who cannot easily be forgotten because she was passionate, she was loving, and she cared for the welfare of others.
Aisha Bello has come, has seen, and inshallah she has conquered.
I can't describe the pain of losing my mother. She was a pillar. She holds so many things, so many parts. She meant a lot of things to us all.
We were very close. As a matter of fact, I was the one that took her to the hospital the day she left this house. And I was with her a day before you took her to the ICU. So, actually very, very close.
And so, the news ends for the able producer, renowned newscaster, and one of the respected voices on the Nigerian Television Authority. In Abuja, Momso Damien Ati, NTA News.
I'm one of the hundreds who benefited from Mama Aisha's mentorship on behalf of the NTA family and all newscasters. Thank you, Mama Aisha. Rest in peace. Stay tuned for more reports. The Tudumbiri drone misfire continues to receive sympathy and a show of concern by Nigerians, but President Bola Tinubu believes the best gift is for the armed forces to compensate Nigeria and Nigerians with total victory over enemies of state. State House correspondent Musbau Danwahab has the details.
President Bola Tinubu was the special guest of honor at this year's Chief of Army Staff Conference. It was on the invitation of one of the arms of the nation's armed forces. The Commander-in-Chief would honor his officers and men who have made significant efforts and sacrifices in the line of duty at the then epicenter of Boko Haram insurgency. The peace around town and in major parts of Borno State underscores their success. And so, it was a moment of appreciation of the military and other security agencies' commitment and collaboration towards ending insurgency, banditry, kidnapping, and other security challenges across Nigeria.
I am deeply moved by your devotion to service and the sacrifices you and others in uniform have made for the defense of our nation. The professional conduct you demonstrated during election in Bayelsa, Imo, Kogi states underscores your role as a guardian of our constitutional order and democracy present. In this regard, the Nigerian Army must remain completely non-partisan but vigilantly pro-democracy.
The successes notwithstanding, President Tinubu promises his administration supports for the ongoing modernization process of the military and other security bodies with proper equipment to achieve what he described as a must-win battle against non-state actors taking arms against the nation.
As your Commander-in-Chief, I exhort you to continue the path that you have chosen to protect our beloved nation. For us, there is no greater duty. Neither be discouraged nor lose heart. The fate of our entire nation is in your hand.
The remembrance of the Kaduna drone misfire was a moment that darkened the expression of the president calling for thorough investigation and efforts to prevent future reoccurrence.
Yes, money, compensation, whatever is necessary, we will do. But it doesn't compensate, it doesn't replace the loved one lost. I wish we could somehow take this all back and erase the harm done. But we cannot. It has happened. What we can and we do is to give ourselves the victory over the terrorists. It's the best gift.
Insurgency has been significantly degraded in the northeast, but the host governor has a suggestion for a lasting solution.
It is also necessary that I should put another relevant request to Your Excellency, Mr. President, to establish military bases in Sambisa Forest, Mandara Hills, and the shores of Lake Chad in order to secure these areas and reclaim.
I want to passionately appreciate the most sincerely thank Mr. President for his quick interventions in approving all our needs of critical equipments and platforms.
We will continue strengthening our operational capabilities, enhancing intelligence gathering, fostering interagency cooperation, and prioritizing the welfare of our personnel.
May I have your permission to stand at Your Excellency?
Permission granted.
President Tinubu proceeded to confirm the high morale of the officers and men on ground as he addressed the troops of the Joint Task Force Northeast Operation Hadinkai.
Hip, hip, hip!
He also performed the ceremonial foundation stone laying for the headquarters of the 7th Division. From Maiduguri, Musbao, and Wahab, NTA News.
Meanwhile, members of the House of Representatives have pledged to implement projects worth 400 million naira in Tudumbiri village to rehabilitate the community. The chairman of the Northern Caucus Forum of the House of Representatives, Alhassan Adodogwa, disclosed the development when he led lawmakers to sympathize with Kaduna State government over the incident. Muhammad Umar Ajingi reports.
The people of Tudumbiri community have continued receiving support to at least put smile on their faces and give them hope again after the tragic incident. The latest is by these members of the Federal House of Representatives who promised to implement projects ranging from hospital, access road, schools, and a police outpost in the community worth 400 million naira.
We have also considered and agreed through the leadership of the House of Representatives, obviously through the Speaker, to also bring on ground some developmental projects. There are access roads that will be provided, and all this is put to the tune of 400 million naira from the Federal House of Representatives. And we are therefore bound to commend the federal government for that outright initiative and commend them for the commitment they have given to Kaduna State government and to the people of the state in responding to this very, very sad development.
I'm really happy because we have a president who have been in the forefront of trying to address this problem in calling for investigation. That is the reason why I'm calling on National Assembly members to join the people of Kaduna State and Kaduna State government in particular in insisting that this investigation should be done within a time frame.
From the government house Kaduna, the lawmakers proceed to Barrow Dukko Teaching Hospital, where some of the victims who sustained injuries are receiving treatment. In Kaduna, I am Muhammad Marajingi, NTA News.
In a separate but related development, stakeholders are intensifying efforts to adopt sustainable strategies to redefine the fight against insecurity in Nigeria. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, at one of such engagements with the Central Council of the Jama'atul Nasr al-Islam in Minna, Niger State, reaffirmed government's plan to roll out humanitarian responses to cushion the effects of terrorism. Salihu Guanara reports.
Leaders of the famous Islamic organization Jamaatul Nasr Islam are to resume physical meeting after 5 years of break due to what they described as challenges of insecurity. The atmosphere is once again conducive, so they need to dust their files, refresh memories, and share quality ideas while setting agenda for the current administration.
We cannot develop without peace. And there's no peace and stability anywhere. We found that we are going to be in very deep troubles, economically, socially, and politically.
It is a call for support for religious leaders that can truly guide our nation towards a path of shared value and mutual respect.
The Minister of Information and National Orientation, on behalf of President Bola Tinubu, appealed to religious leaders to preach peace in the aftermath of the drone misfire at Tudumbiri in Kaduna State.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has honestly expressed how the bombing mishap was worrying and very painful to him personally.
He also shared the vision of the 2024 budget of renewed hope towards promoting socio-economic prosperity. In view of government's planned policy, Nigeria's values charter that plans to create a unifying value system among the citizens. Outcome of this engagement will have a great deal in peace building. From Mina, the Niger state capital, Saliu Gwanara, NTA News.
Now, adapting to new legal challenges and complexities remains a symbol of integrity in the country. This is the focus of the Federal High Court as it marks the 2023-2024 legal year in Abuja. Omenka Amarachuku reports.
These are members of the bar and bench converging to take stock of the performance of the judiciary in the past legal year, 2022 and 2023, so as to project better for the incoming legal year. Chief Judge of the Federal High Court observed that although the judicial arm encountered challenges, it has displayed courage in delivering landmark judgments, particularly with the introduction of electronic filing of cases.
It is necessary to state unequivocally that this court has never at any time solicited or canvassed for increased jurisdiction.
Body of benchers, the Nigerian Bar Association, all made presentations.
Responsibility is paramount. This responsibility is very, very fundamental, and we must take it very seriously. The starting point is to congratulate my lords for the 50th year, 50 years of hard work from the birth to where we are today.
A number of times when I see people getting quite upset, quite anxious about, the judiciary, we should give them some bit of time.
In the last legal year, 15,025 cases were entertained, while 12,870 were disposed of. In Abuja, Omenka Amarachuku, NTA News.
It's time to join Michael in Lagos. Michael.
Najatu. All is set for the production of petroleum products at Dangote refinery as the company receives its fourth tranche of 1 million barrels of Agbami crude oil supply. The vessel which carried the crude sailed to the refinery's single point mooring, where it discharged the point product into the company's tank. Joe Popola has reports.
Since the official inauguration of Dangote refinery, Nigerians have been anticipating the end products of the largest single-train refinery, which is expected to cushion the effects of the fuel subsidy removal and impact the economy. This boat trip from Dangote refinery's jetty is not just for sightseeing, but for journalists to witness the unfolding of the milestone. After more than 2 hours trip on the sea, we arrived at the scene where the first crude tanker conveying 1 million barrels of crude oil for refining was stationed, a bold step that demonstrates the readiness of Dangote refinery. Aided by single-point mooring and interconnectivity meant for discharging the product, underneath the sea are pipes that connect to the jetty and down to the refinery. Managing Director Dangote Port Operations Akinyomole says the feat is a demonstration of the doggedness of Alhaji Aliko Dangote.
And the vessel, as you can see, is being assisted by two 80 tons bollard pull capacity tugboats, and with experienced NTA pilots trying to bring the vessel to the SPM. Without any shadow of a doubt, this is a testament to the can-do spirit of the Nigerian, and especially the irrepressible son of Africa, the president of the Dangote Group.
Indeed, the site and surrounding area attests to the power of technology. The much anticipated light at the end of the tunnel is here. This singular initiative is expected to address issues of energy insufficiency in Nigeria. More crude oil supplies are still being expected to arrive the port after the first tranche. In Lagos, Joel Hukbola, NTA News.
Climate change comes with devastating effects on livelihoods, and reports by the United Nations show women bear the brunt of the challenges. Their vulnerability stems from economic, social, and cultural factors. Bolaji Akim in this report highlights some of the consequences of climate change on women and children in coastal communities in Lagos and ways they can be addressed.
And other women in a community may not contribute much to global emission of greenhouse gases that cause climate change, but they are most vulnerable to the catastrophic consequences of global warming that may linger in their lives forever. Many have lost their means of livelihoods to ravaging effects of rising sea levels, coastal flooding and erosion. Their husbands, children and other family members are not spared.
They now have to beg from other relations to survive. The business has really gone down.
Apart from reducing the economic power of these women, who form a larger percentage of the country's population, schools in some coastal areas have been overtaken by flood waters.
The disruption caused by this event has a profound impact on all our students, teachers, and of course overall educational structure. Many students are unable to go to school, teachers can't come to class, and one of the most concerning outcomes of climate change is the surge in dropout rates, especially for our girls.
Environmentalists insist that ways to address the challenge include checking emissions of various gases warming beheads and proactive climate actions by relevant authorities, businesses, and individuals.
We need to ensure that we curtail climate change, that we change the climate change, that we stop disrupting the perfect balance of nature, the miracle of creation.
We must begin to empower our local communities to identify, plan, and implement strategies that enhance their resilience to climate change.
Memuno and other women and children in our community may not be aware or understand the negotiations at the International Climate Change Summit in Dubai, tagged Conference of Parties, COP28. However, key agreements from the talk can help to address the harrowing experiences of rising sea levels and coastal erosion they face every day. In Lagos, Bolaji Akim, NTA News.
Those are the reports from Lagos. Musa Abubakar is standing by with business news shortly after this break. Please stay.
You're still watching NTA Network News. Let's now talk business. In a bid to ensure strict adherence to mining safety guidelines and protocols, the Federal Mines Office in Gombe State and the Gombe State Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources have commenced an inspection tour of various quarry sites operating in the state. The inspiration tour, led by the Gombe State Commissioner of Energy and Mineral Resources, Sanusi Ahmed Pindaga, and Engineer Zakari Adamu, and the Federal Mines Officer Engineer Zakaria Adamu, emphasized the importance of signing community development agreements with host communities and the mining companies operating in the state as a crucial requirement towards ensuring the provision of essential community services that align with the specific needs of the communities. Oil prices were largely flat on Monday as worries persisted around crude oversupply despite OPEC Plus cuts and softer fuel demand growth next year. CNBC reported Brent crude futures rose 35 cents to $76.19 a barrel. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures gained 25 cents to trade at $71.48. Both contracts jumped more than 2% on Friday, but were down for a 7th straight week, their longest streak of weekly decline since 2018 on lingering oversupply concerns. And to capital market, equities market closed the first weekday of trade in green as the bulls prevail, with investors ending the session with 70.14 billion naira gain. The all-share index appreciated by 0.18% at 71,669.91 basis point. A total of 375 million shares in 7,011 deals, corresponding to a market value of 3.8 billion naira, were traded as equity capitalization advanced to 39.2 trillion naira. The financial services industry dominated the top trade chart at the end of the session. That's a quick look at business news. The news continues with Najatu after the break.
Nigeria's Victor Osimhen and Asisat Oshoala claim CAF 2023 African Footballer of the Year honors. And on that cheerful note, we conclude the network news on NTA. Thanks for staying with us as usual.